So my humanity actually went down. I think it was like 82 before. I'm 28 now. I'm not very famous. I have some disposable income, which is nice. Still transhuman. Have my relationship with Tammy went down? And my relationship with IG went up. I don't understand this at all. Did I read the chapter 3? Yeah, I did. I haven't talked to them at all. Why is my relationship with them changing? Is it just like the way that I've done things? Okay, well, how do I feel about my first shipment of robots? I yearn to see my creation spread to the corners of the world. I have a strange feeling about this. Is this a good thing I've done? Finally, I'm seeing success. The world shall remember the name Ben Tesla. God, I hope we don't go bankrupt. I want to see them succeed. Seeing the assembly line is a dream come true. Every robot you send out into the world brings you joy. You admit there may be some code in these robots that isn't strictly necessary for their jobs, but you'd hate to deny these creatures the full richness of life, plus one autonomy. You start up the line again, and more robots begin to roll off the final assembly line. You said line twice in the same sentence. I just get bugged when things are repeated. I'm sorry. By the end of the day, you are standing in your large warehouse with over 200 robots, 256 to be precise, lined up in a square formation, 16 on a side, ready to be activated. Your audience from earlier in the day is gathered there as well. What will your production model use for minds? Curry's initial state, ready to learn and adapt to the client's need, with some effort on the client's part. Copies of Curry's mind as of today. They will be a little confused at first when they realize they're clones, but they'll get used to it. These robots don't need sentience. I wrote a more traditional program that will do the job. This is where I really encounter a problem here. So Curry's initial state is the way that I imagined it in my head is like, yes, you'd be able to teach robots and then you could change, yeah, and then you could copy their minds after you taught a specific one. But the problem with that is that if I gave them all sentience, they might have some problems. See, the thing is that I designed Curry to be sentient. But I'm not sure how well having all of the robots being sentient would be. Because, I mean, if you got one person saying the wrong thing to a specific robot who isn't the creator of the stuff, or they wouldn't be responsible for it, like, this is the problem that I'm having, is that this would clearly be something that would eventually come back to me. Whereas, if something were to happen with Curry, yeah, it would really suck, but the thing is that I'm very careful with the way that I treat her and everything else. So I've already decided that they're not going to be a copy of Curry's mind. There are both downsides and upsides to having sentience or not having sentience. But I think me being responsible about when I'm putting out the robots to not have them sentient would be the best option, just because the only reason Curry is sentient is because of my responsibility. So when you see these stats here, it says Curry. This is Curry's stats based off of what I've been teaching her. So she is transhuman in her empathy, and she's stable as in her grace and stuff like that. So I think we're going to have to go with non-sentient robots being put out, just because I would be looking at not only lots of lawsuits, but a lot of face loss. And the thing is that the robots can only be effective so long as people believe they're effective. I'm already putting them out at a lower cost than they were before, so if things start to go wrong with them, it's just going to be wrote off as a piece of crap. I am not going to have any money to be able to do any sort of good anymore. I have to go with a traditional program. The only thing is, though, is that if I wrote the program for these, people might be thinking like, oh, he's got his own personal robot, and then all of our robots run off of his program. And the thing is that if I were to decide that that program was something that I was going to use to take over the world, that would be really bad. Of course, I'm not going to end up doing that. We're not going to have them sentience. You hit a big red button on your phone that says go, sending a wireless signal to the power of the robots. A high electric whine fills the air. The robots each survey their surroundings, turning their heads to build a map of their environment with a SLAM algorithm. They are incurious but methodical. Attention, you cry, and all the robots all stiffen their heads to look at you. Forward, you shout, and each robot walks forward in unison, keeping their perfect square. Halt, you cry, they all halt. Left face, you cry, the robots turn left on the next 2 beats, matching your cadence. Applaud. The mindless robots all bang their humanoid hands together, creating a din. Your human workers applaud as well. Tammy looks extremely agitated, as if remembering something unpleasant, but she doesn't say anything about it. Tammy, I understand. That's not what these robots are being used for. They're for medical purposes. They're for people with glaucoma. Relax, you say. It's just an easy test to ensure the robots can move and obey commands. You look back to the robots. Power down, you shout, and all the robots shut themselves down. Curry looks a little disappointed. My brothers and sisters aren't very interesting. You're still a unique snowflake. Enjoy it. After a few months, your shipment to Gallon's Medical is ready. Unfortunately, one of your surgical robots gets involved in a major accident that ends up killing a patient. Lawsuits begin cropping up, which people who have treated by your robots complain of pain afterward. Yeah, they're fucking bullshit. But the robots are naturally likable and friendly, and so hospitals can't quite bring themselves to get rid of them. Many patients express surprise that they seem less robotic than the doctors. Though you pull your line of robot surgeons, your robots do well as nurses, and profits there make up loss from lawsuits. Why would I make robot surgeons? Okay, so I'm assuming that if I had higher grace, then they wouldn't have fucked up, right? Okay. You find that, with Singularity doing well, you have a little bit of spare time again. What would you like to do with it? Expand the business and get another big client from among the options. Spend more time with Curry. Despite your wanting to take a break from work to play with Curry, it seems Curry is mostly curious now about what you do all day. If nobody is your boss, who pays you? Hopefully clients, you say. I make deals with them to sell them robots, and they eventually pay me. But then, who pays the robots? Nobody. They're my property because I made them. Do you see me as property? Options. Technically, yes, but I prefer to think of you as a friend. I actually think of you more as a dependent, but the law doesn't see it that way. Yes, I may be kind to you, but don't forget that you are not human. I'm going to go with the second one because it's the only one that doesn't say, yes, you belong to me in any way. A dependent like a child? Very much so. Curry appears moved by this statement, but you probably also delayed her acceptance of responsibility. +4 empathy, -2 autonomy. One day, while driving back in to work at the factory, you find that your staff has strung a banner across the entrance to the factory that says, Happy Birthday, Robots. Surprise, your employees yell as you enter the factory floor. They're all wearing party hats and blowing into paper horns at each other. Robots wearing party hats built for the occasion walks about serving cake and champagne. Has it really been 1 year since this factory shipped its first robots? You must have lost track of time. It warms your heart a little to see that the staff loves working for Singularity so much. Yes, because they're very well paid. It's good to have happy workers. Your company threw a surprise party for you. Aww. As you go around looking for other clients, you begin to find that, in many cases, Josh has beaten you to the punch and made a deal you can't hope to match. He has switched to a robot labor force and has passed the savings on to his customers. Not much. Will you switch to robot later? Yes, and at the same time I will try to develop a line of robot workers I can sell. Yes, but I will concentrate on improving my own workforce, not making a model I can sell. No, my human workers are partly responsible for my success. I won't sell them out. You nobly refuse to adopt robot labor, even as your bottom line feels the sting, minus wealth. Singularity seems to be doing fine financially, and you begin to think about the things you could purchase with your money. You've been concentrating so much on your robots, you haven't given much thought to what you could do with money besides expand the business. What will you spend your funds on? You will have the opportunity to buy more than one thing if you can afford it. Wealth 4. So, splurge on a flying car, buy a horse, buy myself a nice mansion, like to spend time with Curry and Mediterranean cruise to show her the world, want to give money to charity, I want to make a perfect day for Curry, I prefer to save my personal funds. Oh, perfect body. Oh, said Day. Well, see, that's the thing, though, is that's Curry's choice. If Curry wants to have a different body, then I'll create Curry a different body. And why does that cost me 3? Originally, I got 1 wealth for making her out of plastic. You know what? Let's... I'm assuming I can be like, I want to give some of my money to charity, and then it'll pop over to there. You know what? Let's go for this. -1 wealth. You spend 2 weeks seeing the sights of the Mediterranean with Curry. You start in Egypt, visiting the pyramids and the Sphinx, impressive reminders of how good engineering survivalists at the time, and you then see Istanbul, Athens, the site Plato's old academy, plus autonomy. Italy. But why do so many people flock to poorly functional architecture, Ben? The southern coast of France, and finally Tunisia, were the most important site for you and Curry, is a site where they filmed the original Star Wars. Curry's experience with other cultures will help her get along better with people from other countries. +2 empathy, -1 military. What will you spend your funds on? You will have the opportunity to... Yeah, okay. Why does it cost 2 to build a house? I have this giant robot factory and I only have 3? That's dumb. We'll give some to charity. How much will you give to charity? Some, but not enough to affect my lifestyle significantly. That one... Why would it affect my lifestyle? Do I have like a really fucked up lifestyle? I don't even have a house yet. Enough that I might skip buying a few things later to make up for it. You know what? Everything I'm giving the factory itself, all my wealth, and all our supply of robots to charity. Yeah, that's not happening because then that means that I'm no longer responsible for it and somebody else might pick it up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'll save the rest of it. Life is uncertain and you never know when you might need some extra funds. You decide to keep your remaining money. The Singularity, doing reasonably well, you may attempt to undermine Josh's business. He's still selling robot drones as his core business, and if you wanted to, you could sell comparable robots at a loss to drive him out of business. Let's do that. I should eliminate my competition. I will ask whether Josh is interested in a merger. I don't care about Josh. He can do what he likes. We'll talk to Josh about this, because, I mean, it's either he goes out of business or we come up with a deal. You call up Josh. Hey, Josh says when he picks up the phone. You know, I could have learned a lot from you, you say. It takes a lot more than a good idea to make a product that changes the world. Yeah, duh. You were right. We'd make a great team. Are you suggesting a merger, he says? Yes, I suppose I am. Forget it, Josh says. We're better off just letting U.S. robots die. I'll come work for you as an advisor. Josh gratefully takes a position in your company as Chief Operations Officer, and you welcome him on the first day with an office decorated with Les? Is that like Led Zeppelin, but it's a bunch of females who are interested in other females? It's Les Zeppelin, apparently. Posters and a good sound system. He does, in fact, know what he's doing when it comes to company operations. +3 wealth. Cool. He's just like, yeah, sure. So he didn't even like his... Okay. One day, Tammy bursts into your office at the factory, extremely agitated. She makes some kind of strange gesture that looks like a hang loose sign being punched into an open palm. What the hell, you say? Turn off your phone, Tammy says in exasperation. Not sure what this is about, you comply, and she drags you into her dark office. The only light comes from a screen of dumped hex code and a Linux terminal window. Next to the code, there are Chinese characters. I found this, she says. On the production server with the main code repo. And something similar in Curry's RAM. So maybe Curry can read Chinese. You joke. But this is a sinking feeling. You know what's coming next. It's a Chinese rootkit, Tammy says. Oh shit. We've been hacked. I like how I don't actually say that. That's actually the narration says, oh shit, and then I say, so we've been hacked. Have been hacked, are being hacked, continue to be hacked, and it gets worse. Someone is using the port. Who? Tammy's mouth opens and shuts, and the words don't come out. Finally she says in a small voice, I can't tell you, it's classified. You must look angry at that point because she says, I'm not on their side, I'm not. Just because I don't work for them anymore doesn't mean I'm allowed to reveal classified information. Her eyes widen, or say things that would imply. She puts her hands over her mouth. Fine, so the government is apparently spying on me through the hacked port. Maybe they're really spying on the Chinese spying on me, right? Tammy opens up a different terminal window. It shows you a list of IP addresses, geolocations, and total bytes transferred. 2 locations have a listing. 1 EB, Shanghai, China, and Fort Meade, Maryland. 1 EB, 1 exabyte, 1,000 petabytes, 1,000,000 terabytes, a scientific notation's worth of gigabytes. That's probably everything. The code and schematics for all of your robots, all of Curry's memories, and all the tiny variables that make up her personality and thought processes. Every email, chat, video conference, website you and anyone in your company ever visited. It's probably enough to reconstruct your robots, and apparently both Chinese hackers and United States government have all of this. Great. Why would the government want to steal all my stuff? Let's scrap as much useful data as we can from the internet, then lock down the network, disabling all links to the outside. Hire cybersecurity specialists to try to close off security vulnerabilities. Create a honeypot of fake robot plans to hackers to steal, describing a robot that is actually a bomb. We are not going to fight the government of 2 nations. They can have my data. Let's cybersecurity. It sounds great. They do that for businesses all the time. When you suggest this plan, Tammy looks, she says, I'm not sure that's going to work. Well, try, you demand. I did not demand. I asked politely. Did I just piss her off again? Yes, I did. I think I did. It might have been that low before. I don't know. You spend heavily to hire cybersecurity consultants to help fix the security holes in your code, but the security holes in your robots are endless, it seems. Machine learning seems to naturally produce messy data structures that are difficult to inspect for security holes. Trying to make your robot's mind secure is like trying to remove all the sharp objects from a garbage dump. You contribute to the search for security vulnerabilities, but the world of cybersecurity is opposite of the world of machine learning. You deal in abstract models, and these people break them. Months later, you give up the project in frustration as you begin to see knockoffs of your robots produced by Chinese companies. The horse is decidedly out of the barn. A few weeks later, you wake up to blaring alarm while it's still dark. It's your phone, and it only has that annoying alarm for a few specific callers. You reach over and check it. FISEC bot 12. Explosion at Detroit factory. Fire department on its way. 3 human workers missing. Some robots trapped inside. Suspected cause of explosion is robot error. What objective will tell you your physical security robots to prioritize until you get down there? Free the trapped robots. Look for missing human workers. Try to rescue expensive laser cutters and 3D printers. Stay safe. Physical security robots. Get the human workers out. You quickly text back that physical security should look for the missing workers. Then you drive down to the factory in your ancient Toyota Yaris. You come to the factory just before sunrise, the fiery blaze orange against the early morning indigo sky. A dark column of smoke reaches up to block out the full moon. Josh is already there, black with soot, carrying a bulky 3D printer laser cutter out of the building. Your PhysSec robot appears to have found the missing workers. You see 3 people huddled under blankets, coughing and black with soot, but okay. Josh has a brief coughing fit as he turns around to head back into the burning building. I try to stop Josh from going into the burning building. I tell my robots to save more robots. Actually, plastic robots are probably not the best in a fire. I tell my robots they've done enough already. They should hang back. Well, I should stop Josh from going to the burning building, damn it. You run up to Josh and spread your arms to block him. Josh, what are you doing? It's too dangerous to go in there. You could die. Is that an order? Josh asked. You detect a note of bitterness in his voice. I let you make all of the important decisions. They're missing a space there. And this is where we are? And this is where we are. I should never have left my own company, but I can at least grab enough of my stuff to start over somewhere else. Josh, let it go. Josh pauses to engage in another coughing fit, but when it passes, he still looks determined. I have the robots restrain Josh from entering. I appeal to my friendship with Josh and convince him he's being selfish. I try to convince Josh that the company is not worth dying for. I'm at 69. Very good. I try to convince him. Josh, it's not worth risking your life on this. Think of all the things there are to do in the world. Like what exactly? Led Zeppelin concerts. A zillion Asimov books you still haven't read. The gadgets that all this year's Consumer Electronics show. Tasty craft beers. Josh hesitates and finally sighs. Alright, you've got me with the tasty craft beers. I won't go in. Now come on, let's try to fight this fire from out here, where it's safe. Eventually the fire department arrives to help you combat the flames. Though the firefighters' efforts take well into the day, the blaze is finally put out by the afternoon. The damage isn't as bad as it could have been, since Josh pulled most of the important stuff out of the fire. -2 wealth. The robots grumble that you didn't seem to think their friends trapped in the factory were worth saving. They're not sentient. They can't complain. Secretly, you do believe that they were replaceable, but your robots seem to recognize this. They begin decorating their frames with different paint and ornaments in an effort to make themselves seem less interchangeable, plus autonomy. Your rescued employees apologize for their weird hours getting them in trouble. They seem to appreciate the effort you took in saving them. I guess it could have been worse, Josh says, surveying the damage. I'm pretty sure it could have been, you say. Were you really going to risk your life to save your stuff? Josh shakes his head. I guess sometimes I lose track of what's important. He gives you a sideways look. I'm sure you can relate. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, sure, go ahead and lie. Whatever. Josh makes a disgusted noise, but in a way that suggests he's used to you. You spend a little while just chatting about nothing, subtly reminding the other that you'll be there when needed. Okay, so my relationship with Josh went up by 4%. I still haven't met two people. Either that or I'm in a place that I don't get to meet those two people, but shit's really going to hell now. I got hacked. My factory burned down. I'm broke, apparently, and what I intended my robots for is not going to be what they're used for because my information got stolen and shit like that. So we could be in quite a tight spot here. And I'm 30 now. Damn.